a matter of public interest on the issue you have raised on issue number 6, which is the interpretation of Article 138(3) and 10. Chief Justice, the Court, the NSC is the body in charge of our security. It is part of the executive and is established for the benefit of all Kenyans. It doesn't have political identity or political intention. Its members comprise those at the top echelon of our civil service and security infrastructure, and it is a body which in any organization of extensive public interest gets involved to try and see how it can assist on matters of security. The chairman of IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, has purported to present before this honorable court that he has neither the knowledge nor connection with NSAC. The record establishes otherwise. Indeed, from Mr. Kenywa's affidavit sworn on 28 October 2022, it is clearly shown that on 4th July 2022, the chairman was in attendance of a meeting of NSAC and briefed the NSC on the status of the preparation of general election and sought to involve it fully on matters of security, both in context of ongoing activities and also to help them from time to time. I would like to refer you to page 31 of Mr. Kenywa's affidavit annexed to the notice of application, which was notice of motion, which was filed before this court to get the context. At page 31, you start from page 29, and there it is shown the remarks which the chairman, Mr. Chebukati, made to NSIC, and then he went out to outline the full infrastructure of what will happen at the elections, agreed on the assistance which was required, and at the end of the meeting at page 31, NSSC reassured IEBC that it will offer necessary support to ensure successful conduct of general election and achieve its constitutional duty. Members also pointed out that successful results transmission was critical and the issue of budgetary constraint by IEBC should not arise, and indeed agreed to assist IEBC on any budgetary requirements for purposes of transmission. And it is from there that the relationship continued. You will also notice that the visit to the IEBC tallying center was instigated as a result of the activities which had gone on 13th and 14th, when there was suspension of transmission and display of the result, and without explanation from the IEBC. As deponed by Kenywa, he called the chairman and advised him that the NSC has intention to send a team to meet him and his fellow commissioners for purposes of discussing the security and implication of concerns surrounding transmission, tallying, verification, and declaration of results. The chairman posits that he was early in the morning when you go through his affidavit visited by a number of individuals, some of whom comprised politicians and some of whom were various eminent persons in the country, and that their intention was not to enhance the credibility of what he was doing. But he tries to conflate this with the visit of the NCAC by saying, connecting it to what had happened that night, that further, that at 10 a.m. in the morning he was informed by Professor Goulier that the team from NLCA had arrived at the Tallying Center, and he later learned that they had proceeded to the office of Deputy Inspector General of Police. Nothing could have been true than the fact that he was rang by Mr. Kinyua, who told him that because of security concern and tension which was arising in the country, arising out of non-transmission, and of course we have had an example on this in previous election, he was sending a team to go and visit him and discuss the issue of security. That notwithstanding, the chairman pretends that this was an issue which he only came to know when he was informed by Professor Goulier. But immediately thereafter, he concedes that he was rang by Mr. Kinyua, but pretends that the call was by Mr. Kinyua to tell him that the team was coming to discuss the succession procedure, which is a matter which, to his knowledge, neither him nor NCAC are involved. The chairman then adopts confess and avoid posture to discredit the mission by conceding that Kinyua indeed called him, but to discuss assumption of office. We know that assumption of office is a process which is statutory, and members of that office had been appointed and are known and are not members of NSAC or persons who went to see him. Further, it could have been stated in the midst of ongoing tension that the NSAC is sending a delegation to discuss assumption of office when the whole country was waiting and tensions were rising, and in fact there was almost a breakdown at Bomas as these things were going on. The mission was led by Kennedy Kihara, who was the only person who addressed the chairman. The other members didn't speak, and the other commissioners of the other commissioners of IBC of NCSAC, Mr. Kennedy Kihara, and the mission was led by Kennedy Kihara, who was the only person who addressed the chairman, and the other commissioners of IBC. Mr. Kennedy Kihara, in his affidavit sworn on 28 February 2022, equally confirms that his whole presentation was to express the need to expedite the process of declaring the results and ensuring transparency in order to avert public anxiety. But the attitude of the chairman is exhibited by the contempt by which he treated this team. They were not met when they came. They managed to find where to wait, but they were kept waiting for 4 hours. Members of a security team in the midst of an election where tension was rising. Having led them, the chairman claims that Mr. Kihara proceeded to caution him, among others, that if IEBC declared the results with Honorable Ruto as the president-elect, chaos would erupt, and that the blood of dead Kenyans will be in their hands. But at this time, they were meeting not in the presence of Mr. Kihara and the chairman, all contingent of commissioners and the team from the security who comprise 4 other people. And he is trying to allege that a top executive of government would have gone and made this declaration in the presence of all these people. This claim is, of course, denied. Mr. Kinyua, as you know, is a top civil servant, is a top professional, and we all know that in civil service, discretion is the promise of valor. I mean, in fact, they are so discreet that even in normal things, they would not dare have the public know it. Curiously, the chairman reported the events which unfolded at the Tallying Center